So now we are going to discuss about lipids.
Okay.
So these lipids are nothing but the compounds which are water insoluble. They are not soluble in water.
Okay.
And these are fatty acids made up of fat. These lipids are made up of fatty acids. So fatty acid is nothing but carboxyl group attached to an alkyl group. Carboxyl is nothing but COOH attached to an alkyl group. Alkyl group, the symbol for alkyl group is R. It can be methane, CH2.
It is a variable R.
Yeah, it is a variable organic compound like CH2, CH3 and CH2 double bond CH2, various compounds, various organic compounds. So these fatty acids are composed of carboxyl group attached to an R group. R is also known as alkyl group. So this alkyl group varies in forms like it can be CH2, CH3, CH3, CH2, and it can be many carbon compounds, okay, like methane, propane, hexane and everything. So here, the R, which is also known as alkyl group, contains number of carbons. So the number of carbons vary from 1 to 19 carbons.
1 to 19.
Yes. Okay. So here, for example, if you take palmitic acid, it's a fatty acid, and it has 16 carbons, including this carbon, which is present in carboxyl group. Okay. So its formula is CH3, CH2 14 times COOH. Okay. So if you count all the carbons, the count will be 16. Okay. And the other example is arachidonic acid, so which contains 20 carbons, including carboxyl, the carbon present in carboxyl group. Okay. So these fatty acids can be saturated or unsaturated. Saturated fatty acids are nothing but which do not have double bonds in them. For example, it does not have. So this double bond between one carbon atom and another carbon atom, it do not have these saturated fatty acids. These are saturated, so they only have single bonds of the sp3 hybridization. Whereas in unsaturated fatty acids, they have double and triple bonds too. Okay, so these are known as unsaturated fatty acids. So fatty acids are saturated as well as unsaturated based upon bond pairing. Okay, so we are coming to lipids. So when you see some simple lipid like glycerol is a simple lipid, it is an example of simple lipid. So it is composed of trihydroxypropane. Okay, so there are three hydroxy groups, and propane is nothing but meth-eth-prop. 3 carbons will be there. So propane. Each carbon is attached to one hydroxy group. Okay, so this is the structure of glycerol. So many lipids, if you see, lipids are generally the combination of glycerol plus fatty acids. Okay, so glycerol plus these fatty acids. So based upon the number of glycerol present in these glycerol, yeah. Based on the number of glycerol present, these fatty acids are esterified with glycerol. Okay, they have some esterification ester bonds and everything. So based upon the number of glycerol present, these are monoglycerides, diglycerides and triglycerides. These are grouped into these three. And when these lipids have phosphorus in them, it is known as phosphorus or phosphorus containing inorganic compounds. These lipids are known as phospholipids. Okay. So these phospholipids are generally present in cell membrane. If these phospholipids are present in cell membrane, for example, lecithin. Lecithin is a phospholipid which is present in cell membrane. And these phospholipids are also present in the neural tissue. Okay, so it is also present in the nervous system. So this is about lipids. Okay, so we will discuss some more characteristics of chemical compounds, how to identify the compounds we will discuss. So you can get a general idea, so how a lipid, the structure of lipid be and how fatty acids can be. So can get an idea, right? So fatty acids, it can be saturated or unsaturated, and it is the combination of carboxyl group which is attached to the alkyl group. So you can get an idea about that. So next we will see about the nucleic acids. Okay. How to identify them. In living organisms, there are also heterocyclic rings.
Heterocyclic rings.
So heterocyclic rings are where rings of carbon compound which have some inorganic compounds inside that rings. It is so it is known as heterocyclic rings. So the example of heterocyclic rings which are present in organisms are nitrogen the genetic material, which is DNA and RNA. These are composed of heterocyclic rings. So if nitrogen bases, for example, adenine, guanine, cytosine, uracil, and thymidine. So if you see the structure of adenine, it is like this. And here NH2. Okay. So for example, if you see, these all have different structures like adenine, guanine, cytosine, uracil, and thymidine. So this is the structure of adenine. Okay. So it has nitrogen in them. So these are known as nitrogen bases. Okay. So each one have different structures which are that structure is also very important. So here, if these nitrogen bases have sugars attached to it, okay, like polysaccharides and carbohydrates, like sugars attached to it, it is known as nucleosides. Okay, so nitrogen bases plus sugar, it is known as nucleosides. So examples of nucleosides is adenosine, guanosine, thymidine, uridine, and cytidine. Okay. So if these nucleosides, that is nitrogen bases plus sugar, these both are attached to another phosphate group. So nitrogen bases plus sugar plus phosphate group, all the three, it is known as nucleotide. Simply nucleoside plus phosphate group, it is known as nucleotide. So examples of nucleotide are adenylate acid, thymidylate acid, guanylate acid, uridylic acid, and cytidylate acid. So it comes with acid, it ends with acid. So can you understand what are nitrogen bases, sugar, what are nucleosides and nucleotide? So nucleotide is when your phosphate group is attached to nucleoside. So nucleoside is nothing but nitrogen bases plus sugar. Okay. So here in general in organisms, DNA or RNA will be present. So these both are nucleotides. It is made up of nucleotides, adenylic acid, thymidylate acid, guanylate acid. So like that it is made. So this DNA and RNA acts as genetic material for the organism. Okay. It is present inside the nucleus and contains the genetic material. Okay. So next we will discuss about next we discuss about our second topic. Okay. So which is primary and secondary metabolites. So now we are going to discuss about primary and secondary metabolites. Okay. So generally in a living organism there are a number of organic compounds like amino acids, sugars, and aromatic compounds and everything. So various biomolecules like this are called as metabolites. Okay. So in animal tissues, these metabolites are of primary metabolites like amino acids, the amino acid sugars, phosphate groups, and everything. But when you take other organisms like plants, fungi, and microbial cells, they have thousands of compounds other than primary metabolites.
Okay.
That is, other than what animals have. Okay. So these compounds are known as secondary metabolites.
Okay.
So while primary metabolites are, they have more function, they do more functions and they play a very great role. These secondary metabolites are not doing, or these secondary metabolites does not have those much functions. But these secondary metabolites have some chemical, economical importance. Okay, so what they produce. So in plants, for example, if you see some secondary metabolites like pigments, so examples of pigments are carotenoids and alkaloids, morphine and codeine. Terpenoids are monoterpenes, diterpenes and etc. are examples of terpenoids. And essential oils are lemongrass oil and etc. Sandalwood oil, essential oil, all the essential oils which are produced with plants and other things, and other organisms. And toxins, examples are aprin, ricin, and for lectins the example is concanavaline A, and for drugs the examples are vinblastine, curcumin and etc. So polymeric substances like rubber, gums, cellulose. Okay.
Okay.
So these are produced by plants, fungi and microbes.
These are produced by, rubber we get from plant gums.
So these have various uses. Okay.
Okay.
So other than these primary metabolites perform important function. Okay, they perform important function to make a cell alive, to perform many functions. Okay, but here these do not have those many. These do not have those many functions, but perform some. These have some useful ecological importance. Okay. So now we know about primary and secondary metabolites and we have discussed about them. So next we are going to the third topic, which is biomacromolecules.
Biomacromolecules.
Okay. So now we are going to see about biomacromolecules. We have already seen at the first topic. So when you take a living cell or when you take a tissue and if you grind it in a trichloroacetic acid, you will get two fractions, acid soluble pool and acid insoluble pool. So this acid soluble pool have a molecular weight from 18 to 800 Daltons.
Okay.
So and this range of molecular weight is known as will be present in the acid soluble pool. Okay. So these molecules are known as biomicromolecules. Okay. Or simply biomolecules. So when you come to acid insoluble fraction, which is settled down, so these are of four types: proteins, nucleic acids, polysaccharides, and lipids. These are not present in acid soluble pool. So these are insoluble: proteins, nucleic acids, carbohydrates, and lipids. So except lipids, these three, which are proteins, nucleic acids, polysaccharides, these three have more than 10,000 Daltons.
10,000. More than
10,000 or more than 10,000 Daltons. Its molecular weight is. So since it has a large amount of molecular weight, it is known as biomacromolecules. Okay. So we are going to discuss about biomacromolecules here. So why lipids are not included with this?
Lipids does not come under these category.
No, these four altogether come under acid insoluble fraction.
Okay.
But lipids
We cannot calculate lipids by using the DA.
No, these lipids, no. So these lipids have their molecular mass, molecular weight, which belongs to the category of micromolecules. But this lipids comes under acid insoluble fraction. So it is because, as we have seen already, these lipids become the structure of cell membrane, and these lipids form a nerve cells and etc. So, you have already seen that in cell, the unit of life, the cell membrane, it is water insoluble. Okay, since it is water insoluble, and if you grind it with a pistil and mortar in trichloroacetic acid, the cell membrane and other membranes, the cell membrane is lipids, okay, and other membranes which are composed of this lipid compound, it breaks into pieces. Okay, it breaks into pieces and then forms vesicles. Vesicles are round-like structures, okay, pieces and then forms vesicles which are water insoluble. So, and therefore it is not soluble in water. So, it is known as acid insoluble fraction. So, it settles down. So, generally what will be present in acid soluble pool are the cytoplasmic composition. What are present on the inside of the cell? What are present, the cytoplasm, that all will be in the acid soluble pool.
Acid soluble. Okay.
Yes. So that is made up of cytoplasmic composition like cytoplasm and etc. So here these four comes under acid insoluble fraction, which is biomacro molecules. So now we are going to see how much amount these are present in. We are going to see generally about the molecules,
how many percentage of water is present in molecules? Like that, proteins are.
The percentage of composition of molecules. Okay, we are going to see the percentage of composition of molecules. So, some molecules occupy greater volume in a cell, some molecules occupy less volume in a cell, so that one we are going to see. So, water occupies 70 to 90% of the cell, where proteins 10 to 15%, carbohydrates 3%, lipids 2%, nucleic acids 5 to 7%, and ions 1%.
So iron is the smallest and the water is the more.
Yeah.
We can find the water molecules more in the air.
No, these are present in a cell or living organism.
In a living organism.
Percentage of composition of a living organism. So water is 70 to 90, proteins 10 to 15, carbohydrates 3, lipids 2, nucleic acids 5 to 7, and ions 1%. So this composition is very, very important. In many competitive exams they will be asking this one. So we are generally discussing about biomacro molecules, and we will be discussing in detail about each biomacro molecule, what are the functions and what are present in these molecules we are going to discuss. Okay. So first, the next topic is the fourth topic, which is the proteins. We'll be discussing in detail about the proteins, which is the biomacro molecule.